welcome to the Well Child Show. Culture is a way of life of a group of people. However, certain aspects of our culture cause a lot of dissension and argument. Female genital mutilation, also known as female circumcision, is one of such aspects of culture that brings a lot of disagreement and argument with it. On the show today, I have a resource person who will help us do justice to the topic female genital mutilation. I have a video clip that delves into the different aspects and certain myths that surround FGM. Let's take a look at this video clip courtesy CNN, and I'll be right back and the Well Child Show continues.
About FGM, female genital mutilation. It's a partial or total removal of a woman's external genitalia or the narrowing of the vaginal opening for no medical reason. There are a lot of misconceptions about FGM.
So you have tens of thousands of young women that have been victims of genital mutilation. Yeah. And Great Britain allows what, the Sharia courts to take care, and they deal with their own issues.
And with all the discussion, it's hard to know what's true and what's not. Here are some of the alternative facts about the practice.
It's an Islamic thing.
Well, in actual fact, no religious text requires female circumcision. It's not in the Quran or the Bible or the Torah. FGM predates all religions, and Islam actually forbids the mutilation of body parts.
It's only practiced and allowed in Muslim countries.
The practice is prevalent in 30 countries, including many Muslim-majority countries in Africa and the Middle East, but it's also widely practiced in Christian-majority African countries like Ethiopia and Liberia. It's actually illegal in the majority of the countries where it's practiced, except for Sierra Leone, Mali and some states of Sudan.
The practice is always forced on women by men.
Although the practice is seen as oppression, many women are actually for the practice, as they believe it makes them a woman, but it generally does show up in societies where gender inequality is deeply entrenched.
It's performed by family members.
Well, in many circumstances, the procedure is carried out by female family members in unsterile conditions, but sometimes family members have medical personnel carry out the cutting. Many girls are still haunted by the cutting sound of flesh they heard during the procedure.
It's an African problem.
Yes, it is practiced in parts of Africa, but also in the Middle East and Asia, in certain ethnic groups in South America, and even in some migrant communities in the West. At least 200 million women and girls are living with the consequences of FGM today.
Hello and welcome to the Well Child Show. You're welcome back. It's the Well Child Show, brought to you by Global Child Health and Safety Initiative. My name is Kemak Onyenuchea, your host. Thank you for being a part of the show today. I have a guest in the studio who will help us, delineate the topic of female genital mutilation. Join me in welcoming Mrs. Clare Henshaw. She's a development consultant and the founder of the Girl Inspired Africa Foundation. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Claire.
Thank you for having me, Charles. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. And let me also add, she's my very good friend, and I refer to her as my boss lady. All right, Claire, we watched the clip concerning female genital mutilation.
Yes, Charles.
And I know you do a lot of work in the empowerment of the girl child and issues relating to women. So can you just enlighten our viewers a bit on what female genital mutilation actually means?
Okay, Charles. So as we have seen on the clip done by CNN, it's quite clear that female genital mutilation, or female cutting, genital cutting as it's also referred to, as well as female circumcision, as we call it in other parts of the country, is a procedure whereby the genitalia of the female organ is actually totally removed or partially removed for non-medical reasons, mostly due to tradition or culture and whatever reasons that people choose to, have that kind of attitude. But the key thing is that it is a condemnable act that is done on the female as a person and as a human being. It is also a very painful and often a very dangerous act that is done on the female organ, the sexual organ.
All right, now I'm going to ask you to help us delineate the different types of female genital mutilation.
Yeah.
But I'd like this, I have a resource on the screen that will pop up right now so that our viewers can, be a part of this. So can you just explain to us the different types of female genital mutilation?
Well, there are various types, like we all know. For those, especially, well, as much as possible, we'll try as much as possible to remove the medical grammar around, or the medical terms around it, so it's easy for the layman to understand. So FGM, which I will use continuously, we have various types. We have the clitoridectomy, which is basically focused on the clitoris. In this case, it is the partial removal or the total removal of, the clitoris from the female organ, sexual organ. Or again, it could actually be in the form of using various objects, and when it is conducted or it is performed on a female, and usually it's a very painful process. We also have the intermediate infibulation generally, but we have various stages and levels of infibulation. Now we have the intermediate infibulation, whereby it's the removal of the clitoris, the labia minora and the labia majora, and in this case there is a narrowing of the sexual organ, whereby a part of the labia is taken out and also sewn back into what I would call the opening, the vaginal opening, to cover the space and basically reduce it to allow for urine and menstruation. In this case, it is conducted sometimes by family members that are local, those that are local to in the community. There's local people that actually handle this, or sometimes it is done medically in the hospital by medical practitioners. We also have the extreme case, which is the vaginal fusing, whereby you have the infibulation of the clitoris. The inner labia is totally removed. The outer labia is completely scraped and sewn together. In this kind of case, it is extremely dangerous for whoever the victim is at that point in time. There are other aspects of FGM, which includes incision, whereby some kind of incision is made around the genitalia, whereby they probably sew or cut and sew. They also have cases where they just scrape totally. And there are other minor injuries that are also done around the area of the genitalia or the female organ that causes a lot of injuries and abscess and keloids. And at the end of the day, there is no part of FGM that is safe. There is no one that is simple. There is no one that is easy for whoever it is the victim of FGM is.
Now, this is quite interesting, how in-depth and, for lack of a better word, gory this procedure is. Now, one wonders, what is the reason or what's the logic behind female genital mutilation? In your work and your research with rural and even some urban communities that observe these practices, what would you say? Is there any plausible cultural, religious or societal reason why the girl child is made to go through FGM?